The Accidental Entrepreneur is produced by Beinhacker Law and brought to you through our affiliate relationships with the following sponsors. One of One Productions, the New Jersey-based podcast studio that produces and edits both audio and video podcasts. They sell equipment for the average podcaster and have even created a guesting kit exclusively for our listeners. North Authentic, the conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. The Healthy Place, the e-commerce site with thousands of supplements to help you live a healthier life, along with natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services.
So for me, my go-to revenue producer is graphic design.
Okay.
Because people get a chance to work with me. They get to see my process. They get to see the end results. It's very visual. And then once they meet me and they see the graphic side, then I discuss, the other things I do, like web development and lead generation. And so there's some clients that, already have their designs and they already have somebody who does their web development, but they're just not getting results. And so I can look under the hood like a mechanic, right, and tell them from a marketing point of view, a digital marketing point of view, what they need to do to get seen, found, and heard.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode.
Well, my name is Michel Fieger. I'm in the West Palm Beach, Florida area. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and a digital freelancer in the area of graphic design, web development, and lead generation. My business is called Devil Dog Marketplace, your tactical two-belt for a digital solution. So remember, Devil Dog Marketplace, we accomplish your mission with military precision. All right.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody back to another episode of The Accidental Entrepreneur, where we interview entrepreneurs from around the country, actually around the world, to share their ideas, what they've learned, and how you can improve your business. We have a special guest today. I guess everyone's a special guest, right, Michael? So we're excited to talk about some marketing, some things about YouTube, and that you should know. And if you're listening on your favorite platform, be sure to give us a 5-star review if it's an option. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button so we can keep bringing good content to good people. So, Michael, thanks for joining me this morning. Where are you located? Are you in Florida?
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yes.
There you go. Right. I didn't even tell you. My wife's from Fort Lauderdale area. And I have cousins down there. If you ever run into a Beinhacker in Florida, definitely a relative of mine. They might not admit it, but they're definitely a relative of mine.
Yeah, but as soon as I open my mouth, people know I'm from Brooklyn. So.
Right, of course. Well, that's one of the problems when you're in Florida. So, all right. So I'm excited to hear about your background. I know you were in the military. Take us through your training, and then we can get into Devil Dog and what it does and all the kind of tips and tricks and things you teach people when you're doing. I also want to give a thanks and a shout out to Bill Scalzitti, who's a good friend of mine, who connected the two of us. So I'll let you take it away from there. Sounds good?
Yes. So, I spent 6 years in the Marine Corps. That's really the foundation of who I am. Growing up in Brooklyn, it was all fun and sun. But when I went in the Marine Corps, it really taught me about strategy. It taught me about teamwork. And it taught me about, dedication. And it was one of the better decisions I ever made in my life. I was 18 years old when I went in, and I found that I was made from a military cloth, and it propelled me in everything I've done since I've departed the Marine Corps. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Right.
And after that, I got out. I found a lot of veterans get out with amazing skills, but the transition from being in the military to being a civilian, it could be a bumpy one. And
Right.
so, I maneuvered back and forth trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. It took a while, and then, I figured out that I'm a visualist, that I'm a right brain thinker, and so I use the combination of my military experience plus my visual experience to help other veterans, other first responders, and small to medium-sized businesses find their visual. I help them get seen, found, and heard.
Very good. Well, first of all, Michael, also thank you for your service. I think I said that when we talked last time, but I'll say it publicly. And it is difficult, right? People coming out of the military, some guys don't land on their feet, and they struggle. So it's nice to hear what you're doing. So tell me, like, how did you start learning all of this stuff? Because the world of marketing obviously is very different than it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. How'd you get started? Did you get some of that training in the military? I mean, obviously you got the whole perseverance, stick-to-itiveness, ethic from the military. But how about all the digital marketing and the stuff that you're doing now? How did you learn that stuff?
Well, I was always trying to fit into the left-handed world. I mean, the right-handers are, analytical, they're scientific. And I was always trying to fit into that world, but I'm a left-hander. I'm a right brain thinker. And so I'm thinking, wow, why does it take me so long and hard? Why do I have to work so hard to do the things that other people are doing? And I realized I took a college course. It was a advanced statistics course, and I was prepared to work hard. But the teacher did something, very unique. He says, I'm going to teach the right-handers on one side of the class, and I'm going to teach the left-handers on another. The reason I do that is because you right brain thinkers. And I'm telling you, I figured it out at that moment. I got an A in a class that would have taken me so much work to get an A in. And I realized how I learn and how others learn, and how do I take my clients who are left brain thinkers, right?
Yeah.
And pull out the right side of their visual. And that was the beginning of me on a journey of design and identity.
And a lot of it's self-taught. Is that how you did a lot of it?
No, what happened was I moved to Florida in 2006, and I started working with a photography studio, and he just kept adding on different, requests. He was doing, editing, and he was doing photography. And so I had a chance to, in the early stages, do a little editing. I realized I was really good at it. He had me he wanted to run a modeling agency, kind of off topic, but, there I was able to do fashion shows, and I was a Miss America pageant judge. I got to see that I was really a creator rather than an analyst, even though I'm very good at it over time. The creative side is my strength.
Oh, okay. So then where did you go from there? If you worked for the photographer, right? At what point did you say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and do this on my own?
Well, I'm a Jewish kid from Brooklyn, and I went to an event. It was a Puerto Rican chamber. And
perfect.
Yeah. And
Brooklyn kid, Jewish,
Yeah, I happen to be a Latin dancer. So I'm dancing,
really?
And I'm eating all the Latin foods.
Okay.
And a woman came up to me. Her name was Tenchi Salas. She was from a magazine called La Portada. She goes, I want you to work for my company. So she taught me all about magazine design and magazine marketing, and the differences between the Hispanic cultures and how they like working with Hispanic companies. But my job was to educate American companies why the Hispanic market was so strong. But she taught me the interior of public relations. And then after about 3 years, she said, I want you to go out on your own. So I started a public relation company.
Okay.
And I owned it for about 10 years, had many employees, and I trained others to do what I was doing really well. And I
that
noticed
was to promote businesses, get them seen, right, in the media,
right.
things like
It
that.
started out really basic website design,
Okay.
graphics, and then, the SEO world took off. So I was kind of in the early stages of this, and I found that I was in the right place at the right time. And then I noticed the market was changing. People were going to these big box stores. They were going overseas. And I said, I need to reevaluate my business model. I didn't want to be an agency anymore. I wanted to be a freelancer. I wanted to work with other marketing companies that can't afford to hire somebody in-house or a small to medium-sized business that needs to be able to work on their foundation, their business foundation, without all the expense of an agency.
Right.
So that's why I started Devil Dog Marketplace.
So you're like a fractional CMO, right?
No, not a fraction CMO. I am a graphic designer first. And so what I do is I help companies in their foundation find their visual. First thing someone needs to do is, get an EIN number. They need to think about the name of their company. They need to, think about a logo on a website. Right. A lot of people make very early mistakes in their business, and later on, they're always changing it. I help them with their foundation.
Yeah, because it's not cohesive, right? They don't have a certain logo with their colors and the this and the feel, and then they kind of fumble their way along as they develop their business, right?
Well, they just don't have a process. I'm very process oriented. That comes from the military, and we make a list of the things that they need to get their business started. And some of them already jumped into it, and I just go over what they've done and just re-engineer or redesign, and making sure that they show up as professional and as larger than they should be.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So I would never guess that a Jewish kid from Brooklyn is a Latin dancer. You always learn things when you're talking to people and they're telling you their story.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I met my current wife. I was at a Latin dance picnic, and I said to her in Spanish, "Te quiere bailar?" And that means, "Would you like to dance?" And that was the beginning. She saw me dance. Good. She says, "Latin?" I said, "No, I'm a Jewish kid from Brooklyn."
So, did you learn Latin dance in Brooklyn when you were younger?
I grew up in a very mixed environment. A lot of the kids I grew up with were of Latin descent, and I just watched and learned.
Yeah. Do you compete?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I do some teaching, some competing. I didn't compete on a professional level, but I've done a lot of events where they're having dance contests. I actually beat at the time the mayor of Palm Beach.
Nice.
Yeah, Mayor Franco. There was a dance contest, and I beat her.
That's very funny. I know it's a little off the topic, but I'm always interested in the backgrounds of people. Okay. So then you was it Devil Dog Marketing to start? Was that the name of the company after the PR company?
Yes. I started Devil Dog Marketplace about 3 years ago, right? Or a little bit before COVID. And the virtual world was the best choice I made. I really enjoy getting on Zoom and helping my clients, find their visual. And in Devil Dog Marketplace, and people say, "What's a devil dog?"
Right. I asked you that too.
There is a story behind that.
Yeah.
I tell people, they go, "Oh, I love devil dogs." No,
I do. I told you about them.
I'm not a Twinkie. I'm not a cupcake. You call them Marine. A cupcake, man, that's fighting words.
Right. So that's where the devil dog comes from.
Yes.
Yeah, I told you.
The devil dog doesn't come from there. The devil dog comes from a battle with the Germans. They called us devil dogs because of our resiliency, because of our ability to win against all odds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of history there. Well, I told you the devil dogs in my life was my dad and I used to go fishing, and we had to bring devil dogs to catch fish.
Don't call me.
That was it. Very, very funny. Okay, so you got started with Devil Dog Marketing. That was after the PR stuff, right? Because you wanted to really be a freelancer. So it was really like you, and then you could get plugged into companies that didn't really have their own marketing department, needed outside people. So you had your own business at that point.
Yeah, my own business. And, with COVID, everything went digital, and
Yeah.
I'm a co-founder of a business group called Epic Business Connection, and that group, that family of entrepreneurs, kept us all sane during that crazy time.
Sure.
And my business, just the people trusted me, they seen my work, and it blew up from that.
Now, were you doing online, conferences and calls with clients on Zoom before the pandemic? Like, were you?
No.
Yeah, because I never heard of Zoom. I heard about it briefly before. I didn't know what it was. Look, if it wasn't for Zoom, God knows what would have happened during the pandemic. We would have had no way to, what would we do? Conference calls? We would have been unable to communicate.
I would have gotten on my roof.
Yeah, just talking to your neighbors. It's true. What would you have done, right? I mean, we really able to, I told you at one point I was doing like 40 meetings a week. I mean, I had no clients. Like, if you were my client, you weren't calling me because you didn't know if you were going to stay in business or not. So you just had to network.
Well, during the agency days, you're setting up meetings, people don't show, you're driving everywhere. I found this to be, the virtual world is so much more efficient. And because I'm a dancer, my clients are working with me, they may not like to dance, but if they just dance a little, I go forward, they go back.
It's a little rhythm there, right?
But if they go forward and I go forward, we're bumping into each other. So.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, it really, I think the way the world's changed, and it obviously a 15-year change took like 18 months, right? So we really jumped the curve when it comes to technology and digital and things like that. But I think it's really conducive to the small business owner, you included, right? Because now, and me included, I'm a solo practitioner, and I really don't need a lot of the support that I used to need because even the courts are online. So I think maybe that's a silver lining, right? I think that the pandemic and what happened to the world for the small business owner, now you can work with people right in Denver, in California, in Florida, near you, up here. You're working with Bill. He lives in Livingston, a couple of towns over from me. So, and it's just opened up the world of prospecting and being able to market to people and connect with them. It's a little bit harder for me because as a lawyer, I have colleagues down in Florida. You need a lawyer, I'm going to refer you to them. I can't be your lawyer for the most part, unless you're doing something in New Jersey. So it's a little bit, but most other professions, that's not the case. Are there any, and we'll get more into what you do and tips and pointers, but are there any more specific industries that your clients are concentrated in versus, others?
Well, over time, I noticed that lawyers are a great source of introductions. Accountants, accountants and lawyers.
As clients or as sources of clients?
Both.
Both.
What happens is they use my services, and then what they do is they introduce me to their clients that are getting their EIN numbers, that are setting up their business entities, and they find that they're not sure what the next step is, and so to have someone that they trust to help them navigate the digital world is a benefit to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess lawyers are good because we know nothing about businmes for the most part.
No, that's not true. No, it's just that
it is true. We know nothing about business and marketing.
No, tons. But I just think that they come in contact with the startup companies. They come in contact with companies that have been in business a while. They may be struggling.
Right.
And so, that's a great introduction for me. But, I work with coaches. I've done so many things in my life that, I'm able to relate to whatever business I need to work with. People say, oh, do you exclusively work with lawyers? No, I don't need to be a lawyer to be a graphic designer, but I've worked in the law field. I've worked in construction. I studied coaching. There's things I've done that make it very easy to understand my clients.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're kind of, you can work with almost any business.
Correct.
In terms
but I hate to say that because, the word
because niching down is a good thing, right?
Right. Niching down is better.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of work you do. Is it more website development? Is it more, YouTube and TikTok these days? Is it, Google AdWords? I mean, I think that business owners are kind of lost when they're like, there's so many things that you could do or may do, or, other people are telling you, one person telling you do this, another person telling you do this, get on TikTok, get on Google, you need a YouTube channel, whatever. I want to know your opinion, what you're seeing and what you think.
Well, I mentor veterans on the weekends, and okay. I help them find direction. And just like any business, I tell them you can't be everything to everyone. That's right. The first mistake that people make.
Yeah,
I say,
big time.
Where is your revenue coming from? Do that first. So for me, my go-to revenue producer is graphic design. Okay. Because people get a chance to work with me. They get to see my process. They get to see the end results. It's very visual. And then once they meet me and they see the graphic side, then I discuss, the other things I do, like web development and lead generation. And so there's some clients that, already have their designs, and they already have somebody who does their web development, but they're just not getting results. And so I can look under the hood like a mechanic, right, and tell them from a marketing point of view, a digital marketing point of view, what they need to do to get seen, found, and heard.
Right. Yeah. Just because you have a pretty website doesn't mean you might be on a street that nobody's driving down.
People say, "Oh, my website is great, but I'm not getting any traffic." And
nobody's going there.
I can tell you why. After a very quick audit, a free audit, complimentary, I can go ahead and tell you what's going on.
Yeah, like you go get under the Google Analytics and it shows you things that you're not getting, right?
Well, even more than that, other tools that you have. I have proprietary tools that I use to be able to see what Google sees.
Right, exactly, which most of us don't see or would understand probably.
Correct. It's a science.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very common in the legal profession. We all have websites. They all look the same. They list the attorneys. They list the practice areas. Maybe they have a little bit of a blog. They put up information that probably most people don't understand, the lay people. And they're just, they're just down on they're on a road with billboards that nobody's driving down. That's like an analogy I use all the time. And because you're right, it's not SEO. What is the word? Optimized. It's not right. They're not putting out the right kind of content. They're not,
everything, I look at it very foundational. Your website is like an airline hub, right? Let's say you live in New Jersey. Let's say Newark is the hub, right? Is for Jersey. So everything out of Jersey, everything starts out of Jersey and goes out and comes back. So if you have your hub and it's not optimized, then you just have all this stuff out here and nothing is being centralized. So you're not getting authority from Google. You're not getting any what they call backlinks, and you're also not developing the trends or the things that are people searching for you.
Here's a word from our sponsors. Looking to get into podcasting? Maybe to market your business for your own enjoyment, or because you have a message you want to get out there. One of One Productions is a New Jersey-based studio just over the George Washington Bridge that caters to the booming business of podcasting. They offer a comfortable atmosphere using the latest technology available to record your podcast. And they are a full-service media company offering both audio and video production services, creating both audio and video podcasts as well as video shorts for business and personal use. Professional audio equipment packages are available through their website for all budgets. And be sure to check out their podcast guesting kit, created specially for our listeners. Care for your health, care for the planet, and look flippin' great doing it. North Authentic is a conscious hair care marketplace offering the cleanest brands from around the world. Their pro stylists curate only the most fabulous non-toxic hair products with better-for-you shampoos, serums, masks, and more that actually give you gorgeous hair without hurting your health or the planet. Hey, you've only got one life, one planet, and one glorious mane. Might as well treat them all as best you can, right? Try a 100% clean hair care routine prescribed just for you using their link in the show notes. If you don't see a big, beautiful difference in how your hair looks and feels, you can tell them they're crazy. Do you battle chronic pain, stress, anxiety, or depression? Well, if you take any supplements or you're interested in natural alternatives, you need to know about FindYourHealthyPlace.com. Find Your Healthy Place has thousands of supplements to help you live a better quality of life, as well as natural solutions for chronic pain, stress, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness, and much, much more. Need guidance? use their live chat feature and talk to a wellness consultant right on their website. And be sure to use our coupon code TAE Podcast for all your purchases to get the best prices at findyourhealthyplace.com. Follow their links in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So maybe can we talk a little bit about video? Because I think that it's the one area that people don't, know what to do with. They can put up a blog and they can write some stuff. It's probably not SEO, optimized, but I think people put up, there you go, video. And that's how we met, I think, because Bill referred me to you because we were trying to, and you'll explain it in a minute, post the video I did with him when he was a guest on the show to his YouTube channel. And there was a problem. You can explain what it is. And then maybe, have you been doing any TikTok stuff too? Are people doing stuff there?
I do some TikTok, but not for SEO right now. I've been sticking to YouTube and website SEO.
All right. So let's talk about YouTube. First, what was the problem? Why couldn't Bill take the video that I have of him and me, and it's on my site, right, and give it to him to put up on his page?
Well, it's, one, I mean, you're a lawyer, it's not really it could be a trademark or a copyright issue if you do that. But YouTube looks at the video itself,
right.
The content of the video, the words in the video, they have the tools to be able to tell that you are using that. And so what Bill was doing was trying to use the video that you created for him, and Google replied that it was a copyright infringement, and
because it found my video and compared the two and said, oh, this is the same thing.
Right. And so unless that person takes it down or gives you permission, and then, you can't use it. So,
how do you give someone permission? You got to write a letter to Google or YouTube?
You can submit, but it's not really worth doing.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, right? Wait to hear from them or so forth.
You got to pay me to do that. That's expensive.
Yeah, exactly. So
just take the video that you created
and just chop it up or something. Yeah. Right. I'll have to figure something out for him. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about YouTube because, for example, I use YouTube. I don't really use YouTube. It was because of the pandemic, right? I started videoing people. I wasn't doing it before. It was all audio. And then I had all these videos. I didn't know what the hell to do with them. So I said, all right, created a thumbnail and I just throw them up. I don't really spend the time editing them or whatever. And I probably don't, I don't know anything. So maybe you can give us a little bit of tips and tricks and thoughts and, hey, watch out for this kind of stuff.
Well, I work with a lot of do-it-yourselfers, and I love do-it-yourselfers, because they can do the things like you do amazing videos. Your video channel, it stands out from the crowd.
Does it?
Visually, it's really good. You're interviewing me, so that helps.
Yeah, well, obviously, and then we're going to a new level.
So, but your videos are very good. And there's a lot of videos that are very good. The problem is that there's a lot of influences out there that are getting seen over what you're doing. They're not even doing the quality that you're doing. The problem is that your video foundation, there is a criteria that Google is looking for in YouTube that dictates what your authority is, what your score is. It goes from 0 to 100.
Okay.
And those things could be, they are title. If you look behind me, you'll see it.
Right.
The description.
Okay.
The tags, the custom thumbnails.
Okay.
The end screen, and your video will rank. Now, it's not just writing it out. I get clients that write it out and they may have, a 40 out of 100. But there's, as an SEO consultant, it's taken 5 years to figure out the science. I go through and optimize each and every area that YouTube is looking for. And when I'm done, I take them from 0 to hero. Now, I can show you a client that I'm working with. He's a marketing guy, but he trusts me. And I'm doing his videos. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, let me do that. Let me get it so you can share. And yeah, that should work. And yeah, let's show people.
All right. So I think seeing is believing.
Yeah.
So here's an example of Roy Dickin. He he does amazing videos. He teaches people how to dominate their service niche. He works with, plumbers and electricians in the digital world. So he put out a video. He had 0 out of 100, right? This is the word count for his description.
Okay.
And now he did get some views, but what I noticed is his title was too long. His tags were too short. He didn't have, he wasn't sharing with Facebook. There's a lot, all the optimization checklist things were missing.
Okay.
So what I did was I went through, he had no tags, no topic. And most people do that. And sometimes they do fill it out, but it's just not optimized.
Right.
I went through, and after doing it, he had a 96.5 above his competition out of 100.
Okay.
So when you look at this, everything on the checklist was completed. What
was this,
people are searching?
Michael, is this YouTube Analytics or is this a proprietary tool that you use?
This is a proprietary tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
These are what people are searching for, and I got them the #1 ranking for that video tag. And you'll see some are 1, some are 9. But the idea is to look at what people are searching for and use those tags, and keywords to make sure that I get his SEO score up. Now, I worked on his channel. The channel is the most important thing. And then I do each individual videos, and and I do his on a regular basis. We work together, and we're trying to, help other people find their YouTube channel. I mean, basically, when people say, I need to dominate my service niche, Roy is going to come up.
Got it. So if somebody is not working with you, they're listening, and I don't know, they're just a do-it-yourselfer or they're whatever. Is there some things that they can do on their own to figure out what they're doing wrong, or they really need a professional like you in order to do the analytics?
Well, if you're spending time on your video and you're putting the quality of the time in the editing and the production, it's so inexpensive for me to do it for you. It's a waste of your valuable time. I do 2 videos and a channel for $150, right? And then the price goes down the more videos you do. So you can get it as low as $45 a video. So think about it. Is your time worth $45?
Right.
So
no, but what I'm saying is like, how would somebody even figure out, like, what is an optimized description? What is an optimized title?
Well, it takes learning. And how much time do you have? As a do-it-yourselfer, you can learn this. It may take you, 6 months, but you still don't have the experience to know what people are really searching. There's so much that goes into search engine optimization.
Yeah,
even a do-it-yourselfer may wind up in the 70s if they work.
Right, of course. They're not going to be 96.
They're going to be in the 90s.
Yeah, because you do this all the time.
Right.
So how do you even put tags on a video? Do you put them in the show notes, a hashtag, whatever? Or is there a place to put tags?
YouTube has areas where you put your title, you put your description, you put your tags. Everything is there.
Oh, got it.
People are not using it, or if they're using it, they're using it incorrectly.
Okay, I'll have to pay more attention. The funny thing is you mentioned about the copyright thing. Well, the video I was uploading last week after we spoke, lo and behold, I saw the thing checking it mentioned that we'll check the copyright, and it did something, and then it came up and I was able to upload it. I never really noticed it before.
That's where we ran into a problem with Bill. See?
Right, exactly. That's when he was probably trying to upload it, right? And it checks pretty fast.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd think there's millions of videos it's checking.
Well, it's just like music. Remember how people would play other people's music and then they would go after them? They do the same thing with images on a website. They can scan a website and see who is violating licensing agreements. Right. Yeah. No, I have clients that get letters from Getty Images all the time. Getty Images. That is, I get so many clients that said, I just got a letter from Getty Image. Could you change my images before I won't have to pay some money? Right. Exactly. Well, sometimes they're working with another web designer and he didn't check the pictures and they're in trouble now and they're coming to you to fix it. Right. Had to negotiate a lot of things away from
from these crazy, the lawyers that are like bottom feeder lawyers.
Well,
working for
they
these companies.
have teams of lawyers just checking
Yeah.
websites. So, there's a lot of free stock images out there. Don't steal
right. And they're not expensive, most
image.
of the images. If you go buy them online for you to use, they're not that expensive, $20-$30 a piece.
You can get a
couple of bucks
package for 20 images for like $30. It's not crazy.
Exactly. You don't want to wait to get a $2,500 ding letter from the company for infringement.
Well, I had a client just got $10,000.
Nice. Yeah, that you usually can negotiate away. But you're right. They're sending out thousands of those letters. And it's like a collection agency. They're relying on people to say, oh, shit. And they're going to send the money. And even if they get a couple of grand out of them, they're happy to do it.
Right. And when I do websites for clients, I have a database of images that are already licensed, and I allow them to use it. Or if they don't like what I have, they buy their own.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, you have ones. I understand. People also have to be careful, by the way. And I know it's a little bit off topic, but if they're getting video, if they're buying photos and stuff, you probably know what the licensing agreements sometimes are limited. They may be limited just to a printed brochure, and you can only do so many images, or it might not be that you can use it the rest of your life on your website.
Right. Some say personal use only.
Right. Some of them do.
So then you go and try to sell that image to someone, and then you get dinged for commercial use.
Right. Or even use it on a business website. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Okay. So take us along. What other things as a business owner do I need to know about the digital world and marketing? What kind of things do you see that business owners do wrong on a pretty regular basis?
Well, the number one thing is they do not own their own name.
Okay.
It's a basic thing. If you don't own your own name, or if you can't get your own name, get something with an extension to it. So you own that, and you can use that for your branding. A lot of times you get coaches and network marketers, and they have these big corporate sites and they give them great tools, but I go to Google that person and they're invisible. The first thing that people do is look up, Mitch. They look up you up to see what you've done and what people are saying. And if you don't have any collateral on Google,
right,
or it's very light collateral,
they're gone.
They may go to someone else.
Yeah.
You lost your opportunity. So I said, get your domain first. Yeah. Even if you put up a simple landing page, put something up, and then everything you do, send to that landing page so you can start building your name and your brand.
Yeah. I think that people should do that even before they set up their company, because
absolutely
they set up their company and then they can't get the website they want. Now the website doesn't match the company, and they're you got to do some weird thing, dashes or whatever, which is never, I think, good.
I just had someone call me and say, look, I set up, it was a do-it-yourselfer. I set up my domain. I put my website up there. I go to the floridasunbiz.org to get my EIN number, and somebody already owns it.
They didn't own the domain, but they owned the name in Florida.
Yeah, so now they got to change the domain.
Right.
They got to move the website over, and they got to find a business name that's not taken.
Right. Yeah. No, and that stuff's pretty easy to do nowadays.
Easy,
you can
but
search.
People do not know this unless
I know they don't do it. I get more people call me too as a business lawyer, and they're in trouble. They're like, "Oh, I got a letter from this company, and they said I can't use this name." And well, did you trademark it? No. And it gets crazy. I filed a trademark for the Accidental Entrepreneur, and I got a letter from Entrepreneur Magazine and entrepreneur.com. They don't like anybody using the word entrepreneur, even though you probably could argue that it's, a general term nowadays. But if you don't protect your IP, that's another thing. If somebody has a name and somebody else starts using the name and they don't really say anything about it, you can't go back in 10 years and then claim that they can't use the name as they let them use it, because it becomes common use. So they're always protected. So basically I withdrew the application, and I don't have I just have a common law mark on the Accidental Entrepreneur, because they wouldn't go away.
I have a good attorney.
Oh, do you? I have a lot of good attorneys, and they were helping me with it. So yes. we backed off on it. But it's definitely something that, and other people use the term accidental entrepreneur. There are other podcasts, not full time like mine, but they're books that have been written. It's not something I invented, but I think that's a good comment. What other mistakes do you see that people make from a marketing standpoint?
Well, they're using these big box store websites, and
Like
what it
Wix
is,
or
they're renting. The biggest mistake is they rent their website.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good website companies out there like Wix and Squarespace. They look great, just to get up something, but don't allow your business to be on there for long term. One, you want to own your website,
right?
So you have, and I tell my clients, own your domain,
right?
Own your hosting, own your website,
right? Well, just because you own the domain,
an agency,
right? Just because you own the domain doesn't mean you own the website.
Correct. I spent 3 hours with a client who had somebody design his website, who owned the domain. They owned his hosting, and then the person didn't have access to it now. So I had to go in and recover his domain and his hosting just for me to get access. It took a lot of work,
That happens a lot. The web designer owns everything, and you got to negotiate that up front. You have to have.
I don't even negotiate. I give it to my clients. I say, look, you need to own everything.
Right. But don't assume just because you're a good guy and that's what you do, that other people that you're dealing with, if somebody else is out there working with a web designer listening to this, the web designer may own their site and everything. And if you leave, you want to change, you got to build a new site. Even if you do own the domain.
They have you captive agent. I mean, they put your website on their hosting.
Right.
They wind up purchasing the domain.
Right.
And then, if you leave them, it's a nightmare.
Yeah. And they're really not supposed to do that, by the way. There's federal laws against it's like holding it hostage, but they make it difficult, or you owe the money and there's money in dispute. So now they say, well, you owe me 10 grand. I don't think I owe you 10 grand. I owe you less than that. Well, now it's in dispute. And then what are you going to do? They're going to freeze it up and it affects your business, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love, I like telling stories. And I had one client that had exactly that. She wouldn't pay the money that they were asking without being, at the end, because they never mentioned it. And then she refused to do it. And they went ahead and they froze her site. They took it off of the search engines. They wouldn't give her access to anything she did. And she was referred to me, and I was able to go in, see the archive of the website, and duplicate what they did, and did it for half of what they were asking.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you find the right guy, he can rescue you, right?
Well, being a Marine,
you are a Marine, exactly.
I love being a superhero. So.
Exactly. Okay, so what other things, if people need to do things from a, what was the question I was just going to ask you when you said, I lost my train of thought. This is my age, starting to get early dementia. No, I was going to ask you about when it was about marketing and digital marketing. And the kind of things you mentioned that they do wrong and the websites. Oh, lead generation. You had mentioned before lead generation. And I think a lot of people, especially in certain industries, they overlook or they think, oh, it doesn't really come from the internet, but it really kind of does. So what kind of things should people do or think about when it comes to, how to improve their lead generation, at least online?
Well, I think the first thing you got to do is identify there's a problem, right? Okay. Somebody can say, oh, you need to do SEO or search engine optimization, or, you need to optimize your site. But if they can't show it to you, they can't, do an audit and give you the details, then, I would not trust that. So the first thing I tell them is, let's take a look under the hood. I show them on Zoom what Google's seeing. And then I say, most people, your website is like a book, right? We think about it. Your book,
your book
is in a library. The internet is a library. Your website is a book. So you remember, we're old, right? I'm old.
Yeah. So I had a library card at one point.
Yeah, you go into a library and you have to go to the card catalog. I don't think anyone young remembers the card
now
catalog.
it's all computerized. Yeah.
It's all computerized.
Right.
But in the card catalog, there's everything is organized. So you can find the book, the librarian can find the book,
right,
and you know where it's located and how to find it. That's the same thing that Google's doing, but it's doing it digitally. And people do not have a card catalog for their website. And that's called a sitemap. So, and it requires a little experience, but everyone, when I go through their website, I can tell them whether they have a sitemap. And if they have a sitemap, I can tell them it's not optimized. And that's what I do.
So not every website has a sitemap in terms of where all the pages are?
Some web developers are great at design. They have no clue about search engine optimization. So they don't build it for Google. They build it for appearance.
Yeah.
So, and then most people don't know better because they don't know what they should or shouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you go to a developer or a designer, make sure he has SEO experience.
Right. Yeah, good advice. You're right. There are a lot of people out there that are just, I can build you a site. I know how to do it. And they do it from a design standpoint. They know how to program it, whatever. They don't know any of this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I've looked at SEO on my website way back before I had people doing it for me. And it's just, it's overwhelming. I mean, you can't even try. You can try and do it on your own. But like you said, you'll shut down your entire practice. You'll spend months and months and months trying to figure this out. You'll read stuff that you don't understand. It's conflicting, this and that.
Now, how much time do we have? Because I can analyze your site and show
we got about 15 minutes.
You're doing.
We got about 15 minutes. Feel free. You can analyze.
Put your link in the chat, and I'll show you.
All
and
right,
show
let's do that.
else.
So I'll go to chat.
What an audit's
link
about.
to my site.
Yeah, link to your homepage.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me get my homepage here, and we're gonna do. Here we go, and then go to here, and then we'll do copy, and then we'll do paste, and there you go.
All right, so let me pull up this magical website. Let's see. Now you're built on WordPress?
The current site is not WordPress. It's Weblium, I think. It's a client of mine who's also in. This is a new site. We launched it a couple of months ago, middle of the summer.
Right.
The old site I could show it to you. Then you'd find real problems with the old site. But.
Right. All right. Well, I'm looking under the hood now, and I what I first do is analyze how many pages you have, and then I can tell whether Google's seeing all the pages within your site. Mm-hmm. Right now, Google is seeing 21 pages under your site, right? So I'll go through and I'll say, all right, let's see what they're seeing. They're seeing your homepage, they're seeing your reviews, they're seeing your shop, about us. So they're seeing your site, which is great. That's a good first step. Okay. Then, and I asked you what you're on, and if I go, I can look and see the type of development that you have. Let me see here.
Oh, look at that. Built with. I like that.
Built with. Yeah. I can see what development you have. Now, normally most people don't need this, but as a developer, I want to know whether you have Google Analytics on your site. Yeah. I want to see, what platform it's built on. I can see, you're taking payments. I can see you have your social media on there. I'm not seeing a sitemap, so that's one of the things I would recommend. It's not, you do not have that. Now, if I go back to how are you ranked according to Google? Out of 100, you have a 19, and you see the direction of your site. Yep, it's in a downward motion. Yeah. So you were doing really well in November. Not really well. You had 29 visitors. Yeah. You had 29 visitors of 2021.
Last November. We didn't even have this site last November. But it was the same domain. So that was the old site.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But you can see you haven't done any kind of.
Yeah, because we're still working on it. Yep.
Right. But don't feel embarrassed. This is what you need to know.
Good. Yep.
And then you're not getting any organic traffic.
Right.
So
No, we have no lead gen so far.
And you have some backlinks. And then what I do is I test the backlinks. I look at what the ranking on those backlinks to see if they're spammy, whether they're good, they're bad.
So that means that's 426 other sites that are linked to my site.
Those are 4. Yes. Well, some could be follow, some could be non-follow. So I would have to go through that.
Yeah.
But when I look at, what your organic keywords are, you have none of your keywords are on the first 3 pages. You have one on page 2.
Right. Yeah,
but
because we're in the middle of that.
You want to have some between 1 and 10.
Right. We're working on that right now. Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of times people come to me and they've spent a year with their SEO expert, and I can't see anything they've done.
Well, then that's not good.
That's not good. So we talk about it. But I can tell you what keywords you're ranked for. Like advanced entrepreneur, you're in the 7th position. That means the 7th page. And you're getting 30 people a month from that volume. And so the keywords that you need to rank for, they need to be improved.
You want the position to be lower, a lower number?
You want it to be like 10, 9, 7.
It should be lower. Got it.
And then I can see your competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they are competitors. It just depends on your domain.
Yeah.
And what you're doing. And I can see some of the backlinks. Like you have 200.
Well, some of them are my own backlinks.
Some of them are your own.
Right.
Yes. So but you have people that are following you. You have 266 that follow you. So that's good. Okay. But again, it depends on the authority score. Remember, you had a 19.
Yeah.
If people are following you have a 50 or above, that is a great backlink.
And that's out of 100? Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see how a do-it-yourselfer would get lost in this.
Oh my God. They'll never, I mean, yeah.
There's a lot to know. There's a lot to know.
I appreciate it. And
I touched on very basic stuff.
Yeah, of course. And in the show notes, we'll put your contact information. If you have any, you said you offer a free audit. If you want to put a link to that in the show notes, we'll put it out for people listening. Because I think that I had mentioned to you when we first met that, I interview entrepreneurs about their businesses and what they do. And we talked about that too. But a lot of people that come on are people that provide services to small business owners, especially in your world where most business owners don't really understand. I mean, they understand why it's important. They just don't know what the heck to do about it. And they got a lot of people giving them misinformation or different information. It's like the medical field, right? You go to WebMD, forget about it. Your head will be spinning. You got 14 diseases and, you just can't make head or tail out of it. It's hard.
And I think it's the expense factor that scares people. I speak to people that do what I do, and I'm looking at it. It's like $3,000 with me or people like me. It doesn't have to be expensive.
Right, exactly.
I'm a freelancer. I'm not an agency.
Yeah, and if you're a startup business and you don't have those kind of resources, that doesn't mean you can't get a professional to help you get started. As your website builds, you need more services, you pay for more, but you can get started for less.
Yeah, and you know what? The one thing I noticed people were doing, they were going overseas and they come back very disappointed. One, they don't speak the language, they don't understand the culture. Right. They there's no vetting, so, I get a lot of people say, I went there, it was a nightmare.
Yeah. So, like Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. You got to be careful with what you get. Absolutely.
Right.
All right. Well, Mike, I appreciate you spending some time. You got any parting words that you want to offer up to people? Any last few comments My
word is, if you know a veteran who needs to find direction, have him reach out to me. I have a lot of resources. I'd love to help him. And I tell you, remember Devil Dog Marketplace. We accomplish your mission with military precision.
I love it. Mike, thanks so much for your time, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
If you like the podcast, please tell others about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music, and many of the other podcast directories. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review and feel free to share our episodes on social media. If you have any questions or comments, ideas for the show, or you'd even like to appear as a guest, reach out to us by email at info@bindhackerlaw.com. The Accidental Entrepreneur is hosted and produced by me, Mitch Beinhacker. If you'd like more information about my legal services, you can find me on social media or visit my website at beinhackerlaw.com. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to our feed to be notified of all future episodes.